We all know the story of Nelson Mandela, the statues in city squares, the stirring speeches that echo across continents, the International Day dedicated to his legacy. His name is synonymous with hope, forgiveness, and the triumph of the human spirit. But how well do we really know the man behind the myth? He's the smiling grandfather who walked out of prison after 27 years, raising his fist in victory and forgave his captors in front of the world. That image is iconic, but it's only a small part of his story. The real story is far more complex, layered with struggle, sacrifice, and moments of doubt. Mandela's journey was not a straight line from prisoner to president. Mandela wasn't born a saint. He was shaped by a brutal, unjust system that tried to crush his spirit from a young age. Growing up in rural South Africa, he witnessed firsthand the cruelty of apartheid and the pain it inflicted on his people. He made mistakes, had regrets, and at one point believed violence was the only answer to oppression. He helped form Umkhonto we Sizwe, the armed wing of the ANC, convinced that peaceful protest alone would never bring justice. His devotion to the cause cost him his first family. Mandela's choices meant years of separation from his wife and children, a sacrifice that haunted him for decades. This isn't to tear down the legend, but to understand the man who built it. One who wrestled with doubt, loneliness, and the weight of impossible decisions. To appreciate his heights, you must know the difficult, sometimes dark path he walked. The years in a tiny cell, the letters written in hope and despair, the friendships and betrayals behind bars. Mandela is not just a symbol of peace, he's living proof of the power of growth and change. He learned to see his enemies as fellow humans, and in doing so helped heal a nation. This is the untold story of Nelson Mandela. The difficult choices, the sacrifices, and the controversial decisions that shaped a country and inspired the world. We'll look at the revolutionary who risked everything, the husband torn between family and cause, and the president who faced immense criticism from all sides. We'll explore a journey marked by flaws, resilience, and the courage to keep moving forward even when the world seemed against him. In his imperfections, we find the most powerful lessons, reminders that greatness is not about perfection, but about perseverance and humanity. Let's move past hero worship and meet the complex, brilliant, and sometimes contradictory human who changed history, not by being flawless, but by being real. His journey is a roadmap for anyone facing adversity, a guide to finding strength, hope, and the courage to forgive, even in the darkest times. Before he was a global symbol of peace, Mandela was a fighter, a young lawyer watching his people crushed by apartheid. At first, he and the ANC followed non-violence, inspired by Gandhi. But the government responded with bullets and prison cells. After the Sharpeville massacre, Mandela realized peaceful protest wasn't enough. He co-founded Umkhonto we Sizwe, the ANC's armed wing, to sabotage state infrastructure. The goal hit the regime's economy, not people. But this was a move into armed struggle, and Mandela was branded a terrorist. The peaceful grandfather we remember was once a revolutionary who believed violence was necessary. Was it a mistake or a necessary evil? The debate continues. For Mandela, it was the only language his oppressors understood. This decision led to his arrest and life sentence for sabotage. He crossed the line from protest to armed resistance in the name of liberation. The fight against apartheid was fought in homes as much as on the streets. Mandela's first marriage to Evelyn Ntoko Mace was an early casualty of his political dedication. Evelyn, a devout Jehovah's Witness, wanted a quiet family life. Mandela was rarely home, consumed by activism. Their worlds, her faith and his politics, clashed irreconcilably. The government's harassment and the ANC's demands left no room for family. Their love couldn't bridge the ideological chasm. They divorced in 1958, ending a 14-year union and leaving 4 children. Mandela later acknowledged the pain his choices caused his family. This was one of his first great personal sacrifices. Even heroes make impossible choices, and public victories often come with private heartbreak. The fight for freedom cost Mandela his first family, a wound he carried for life. In 1964, Nelson Mandela was sentenced to life in prison on Robben Island, a remote, windswept island off the coast of Cape Town, designed to break the spirits of those who dared to challenge apartheid. The prison's cold stone walls and iron bars were meant to silence him forever. For 27 long years, the apartheid regime tried to erase Mandela's identity, reducing him to a number, prisoner 466/64. He became just another face in a sea of uniforms. Stripped of his name and dignity, he endured backbreaking labor in the island's limestone quarries, meager rations that left him hungry, and relentless cruelty from the guards. Every day was a test of his endurance and willpower. Yet Robben Island became more than a prison. It became a university for Mandela and his comrades, a place where minds met and ideas flourished in secret. They organized clandestine classes, debated political strategy, and educated each other in history, law, and philosophy, determined to keep hope alive. Over the years, Mandela transformed from a fiery revolutionary into a patient, strategic leader, learning the value of discipline and reflection. He learned to control his anger, channeling it into purpose. He even studied Afrikaans, the language of his oppressors, to better understand those who held him captive. Mandela realized that brute force alone would never win freedom. Intelligence, compassion, and forgiveness would be his true weapons. Refusing to be a victim, Mandela used his time in prison to sharpen his mind, strengthen his resolve, and inspire those around him. He saw even the white guards as prisoners of the same hateful system, trapped by fear and prejudice, and treated them with unexpected dignity. Robben Island was meant to be his tomb, but instead it became the crucible that forged a leader of extraordinary vision and resilience. The Mandela who emerged after 27 years was not broken, but ready to heal a fractured nation and lead South Africa toward freedom and reconciliation. While Mandela was locked away, the world changed. The anti-apartheid movement gained global momentum, and Free Nelson Mandela became a rallying cry. The regime's attempt to erase him only made him a global symbol of justice. Inside prison, Mandela began secret talks with the government, laying the groundwork for democracy. He wasn't just waiting for freedom, he was building the bridge to it. On February 11th, 1990, Mandela walked free after 27 years. The world watched as he raised his fist in triumph, not bitterness. He spoke of reconciliation, not revenge. His release marked the beginning of apartheid's end. Mandela led negotiations with President de Klerk to dismantle the system. It was a perilous time, but his steady leadership held the country together. He navigated the path from prisoner to statesman. His years in prison had prepared him for the immense task ahead. In 1994, South Africa held its first democratic elections. Mandela became the first black president. It was a triumph, but the real work was just beginning. Mandela inherited a country divided by decades of hatred and inequality. His goal, reconciliation to unite black and white South Africans. He famously used the 1995 Rugby World Cup to bring the nation together. Forgiveness was his greatest tool, but it couldn't solve every problem. Economic inequality and violent crime persisted. His government was criticized for its slow response to the HIV/AIDS crisis. Mandela later admitted he hadn't done enough on AIDS. Governing proved even harder than liberating. He stepped down after one term, setting a powerful democratic precedent. History is full of strange intersections, and Mandela's life is no exception. In 1990, just months after his release, Mandela toured the US to raise support for South Africa. His team needed a private plane and ended up renting a Trump shuttle, owned by Donald Trump. Despite later myths, it was a standard business transaction, no favors, just a rental. The US government provided security, not a plane. This odd encounter is a reminder of how stories get twisted. It's a curious footnote in Mandela's epic journey. It doesn't change his legacy, but shows how worlds can unexpectedly collide. Always check the facts. History is often less dramatic, but more important than the myths. Mandela's life is a masterclass in resilience and forgiveness, a living testament to the power of the human spirit to overcome even the harshest adversity. He spent 27 long years in prison for daring to fight for basic human rights and equality. Mandela endured isolation, hard labor, and the pain of separation from his loved ones. He had every reason to be bitter, angry, or vengeful, but instead, he chose a different path. Mandela emerged from prison not with hatred, but with a vision for a united South Africa, teaching the world what true strength and leadership look like. For Mandela, resilience meant more than just surviving hardship. It meant using every challenge as an opportunity to grow wiser, stronger, and more compassionate. He once said, "Do not judge me by my successes, judge me by how many times I fell and got back up." These words remind us that setbacks are not the end, but a chance to rise again. Prison became his greatest teacher, shaping him into a wise and compassionate leader who understood the true cost of freedom. He turned oppression into strength, showing the world that our response to adversity, not the adversity itself, is what truly defines us. Forgiveness was his most extraordinary legacy, not a sign of weakness, but a strategic act of courage and wisdom that helped heal a divided nation. By forgiving his captors, Mandela freed not only himself but also his country from the chains of the past, opening the door to reconciliation and hope. These lessons aren't just for leaders, they're for all of us, in our daily lives, in our families, and in our communities. We can let pain and injustice consume us, or we can use our experiences to build something better, to plant seeds of hope for the future. Every day we face a choice, to hold on to hatred or to embrace forgiveness and move forward. Mandela's journey proves that no obstacle is too great for courage, hope, and the willingness to forgive. His legacy challenges us all to rise above our pain and become builders of a better world. Nelson Mandela passed away in 2013, but his legacy lives on. He's more than a historical figure, he's an idea. He proved that one person's courage can inspire a nation and heal deep divisions. His story is a universal symbol of the triumph of the human spirit. Mandela led South Africa through a perilous transition to democracy. The foundation he laid remains the country's greatest strength. The UN honors him with Mandela Day, urging people to serve others. His legacy isn't to be admired from afar, it's a call to action. Mandela's greatness lies not in perfection, but in striving to be better and inspiring others to do the same. His long walk is over, but he's left footprints for us all to follow.